Hello, good morning. I'm Dilip Thakore, editor of EducationWorld.
Good morning, I'm Summiya, Yasmeen, managing editor.
Well, in this pre-Christmas edition of EducationWorld, we have one of our favorite stories. That's an early childhood education. We've always had a very strong interest. In fact, we are the pioneers in promoting early childhood education.
And advocating the cause of early childhood education.
Right from 2007, right?
Yes.
Or 2010, when we had our first international conference on early childhood education, and we wrote several stories which have impacted the critical importance of early childhood education, which I regret to say was not a well-known phenomenon in right up to the turn of the century.
Yes, in fact in 2010, as Dilip said, simultaneously with the first early childhood education global conference in India, EducationWorld also started the EducationWorld India Preschool Rankings.
Yes.
Where pre-primaries were rated and ranked for the first time ever.
Yes, and at that time we were doing it only in about 6 cities. Now we've expanded to, we are ranking and rating the best pre-primaries in 17 cities.
Yes, we'll tell you more about the cover story a little later.
Yes.
But what else we've got in store? As usual, information-packed, varied content on education trends, on education policy. Beginning with our editorial section, Dilip.
Yes.
I think in the editorial section, again, two hard-hitting edits. The first edit is on foreign universities coming into India and the UGC regulations. How they've made these regulations rather unwelcome for foreign universities and made their entry subject to many discretionary rules and regulations.
Which is always opens up the scope for corruption and allegations of corruption.
Yes.
And then the second one is we've given our take on the Sahara, Subrata Roy's death, who died recently, and the massive Sahara Ponzi scam, and how
and why it flourished.
Yes, and actually it's all rooted in education.
And our education news section, again, we've got coverage from the major states of India. So from Delhi, we have the news again on the foreign universities and the UGC regulations, why it may dissuade a lot of foreign universities from coming into India.
It has echoes of our editorial.
Yes. And in the Maharashtra education news, we talk about what's happening in IIT Mumbai. There's some sort of censorship being imposed on academia to not hold conferences, etc.
On matters of public interest. In fact, why should engineering graduates merely be engineering people? They should also be aware of what's happening, because many of them rise to positions which are nothing to do with engineering, right?
Yes.
And then West Bengal is election fever frenzy. A lot of freebies, etc. are being given out. Mamata Banerjee is making a last stand now before the election to come back to power for an unprecedented 4th term.
Yes, and in Tamil Nadu, it's the never-ending NEET saga. How Tamil Nadu wants to exclude its students from taking the NEET, which is the National Medical Entrance Exam, and again, they are wanting to come up with another legislation, etc. So we talk about that.
Yes. And in Karnataka, it's about KPS schools, which are model schools.
Yes.
And how are they going to fund it?
Yes, the new Karnataka government, the Congress government, has said that it's going to establish 3,000 Karnataka public schools. So we're talking about where the money is going to come to fund and equip these schools.
Yes. Then of course we have our subsidiary education notes and education briefs from across the country. And this year we've introduced our EducationWorld School of the Year.
Yes.
I think we need to say something about that.
Yeah, it's also on our website. You can go and look at these EducationWorld School of the Year awards, especially announced at our EducationWorld India School Ranking Awards. And these awards recognize and felicitate schools ranked within the top 20, but with some extra features. It's all there in the magazine as well as on the website.
Yes, and this time we will exercise some editorial discretion in seeing which are the schools which are doing well under the parameters, which are rising.
Yes.
Yeah.
And young achievers, again, too, bright, young, talented sportsmen. We've got a chess champion who's become the youngest grandmaster, Gukesh, and also archery champion, Aditi.
Yes. Then, since this is an early years issue, we've got a special expert comment on challenge and response in early years education, written by two experts, Kritika Baldi and Dr. Swati Bhatt, which highlights the challenges confronting EEC in government and pre-private primaries and recommends some solutions how to improve.
And our most awaited cover story for the pre-primary education sector, which is the EducationWorld India Preschool Rankings. So these rankings, we've ranked over 600 preschools, Dilip, in 17 cities in two categories, the proprietary category and the franchise category. And as usual, the survey was conducted by the Delhi-based Market and Opinion Polls Agency, Center for Forecasting and Research. They interviewed over 8,000 parents with children in preschool, preschool educators, principal, etc., who have rated and ranked these
rated and ranked them on
10 different
parameters,
yes,
such as competence of teachers, teacher welfare and development, infrastructure,
safety and hygiene, curriculum and pedagogy.
Yeah. Like that, there are 10 parameters under which they are awarded scores by the sample respondents. Then the scores are added up, and then we rank preschools in each city. We don't rank them in India because the children are not going to go from one city. Small children are not going to travel, move from one city to another city, yes, because preschool is good. Yes. So these are all city rankings.
Yes. And most importantly, I think, Dilip, these rankings are very valuable for parents.
Yes.
Because they provide, information on which are the top ranked pre-primaries in their own city.
In their cities, yes. And neighborhoods also, if they want to do a further analysis.
Yes, and we also have, in each city, we also have parameter-wise rankings. So if you're looking at a school which offers excellent
safety and
hygiene practices, or with excellent curriculums and pedagogies, excellent teachers, yes, etc., you can look at the parameter-wise rankings also and make optimal choices.
Yes, exactly. So it's very valuable.
Yes.
I think we need to stress, without being too modest, that nobody's ever done this before. In fact, early childhood education has been
neglected for
too long. And we are firmly convinced that unless you give children a very strong foundational education right in their early years, because it's now well known that a child's brain is fully developed by, is 80% developed by the age of 6 or 8. And if you don't give them a good foundational education, they're going to struggle all through their education continuum, right through school.
Absolutely.
And
I mean, there's no any doubt about that. Research, whether it's neurosciences research or whether it's economic research, says that the investment in early childhood education is the most important investment governments, educators, policymakers can make.
And it can save you a lot of money further down the education journey.
Absolutely.
And by the way, we should also mention that the new education policy gives high stress, a lot of stress to early childhood education.
Yes.
And it's now in fact compulsory for all children from age 3 to 6 across the country. So I believe we can take some of the credit for having impacted the critical importance of early childhood education on the general public, educationists, and even policy formulators.
Yes. And also, Dilip, is just not private preschools which we have ranked. We've also ranked model Anganwadis in 3 metros, which is Delhi, Mumbai, and Bangalore.
Anganwadis are government private schools, free of charge, and for people from below the lower reaches of the economic pyramid, socio-economic pyramid. And Anganwadis are in fact of critical importance because the vast majority of India's children go to go to or should go to Anganwadis,
yes.
which they're not. There are about 160 million children all told, out of which about only a few lakhs go to private preschools, and the vast majority should be going to
yes.
good Anganwadis.
Yes.
And
in fact, the biggest challenge in early childhood education in India today is whatever NEP 2020 is talking about, we wanted implemented, is in the 1.39 million Anganwadis, Dilip, across country. How do we provide, professional, high quality early childhood education in the Anganwadis to children?
Yes, unfortunately, while a lot of lip service is given to this early childhood education in general, the government is not ready, neither the central nor state governments are ready to put out the money that you require to raise and upgrade the country's 1.3 million Anganwadi rates.
Yeah.
So we recommend, highly recommend this preschool education issue to you, and you'll find a lot of information on how preschool should be run and how their critical importance.
Yes, and most importantly, it celebrates, pre-primaries, which
yes.
nobody ever talked about. They were dismissed as play schools
yes.
and etc. We're delighted to present this issue and celebrate the people behind, these preschools,
yes,
top-ranked preschools who are working
unsung. Yeah, unsung, indeed.
Yeah.
In fact, nobody pays attention to early childhood education teachers, and actually they're doing the most important job
and it's
in
the toughest
education.
Job.
And it's the toughest job. In fact, I think we should also mention that in this country, developed countries, enlightened countries like Finland, early childhood teachers
are paid more
than university professors. That tells you a little bit about how important early childhood education is.
Yeah. And in our Teacher to Teacher, we have a very interesting article written by Devyani Mungali on how there's, very urgent need for teacher-parent collaboration for student development and for the
yes, because education doesn't only happen in school. The first education happens at home. So if teachers and parents collaborate, the child gets an optimal benefit.
Yes. Yeah. Book review is also very interesting.
We got Manishankar Iyer's new book.
Yes.
Is that, and it's quite an interesting and engrossing book, and I've given my take on his book.
And there's also a review of A Matter of the Heart, Education in India by Anurag Bihar.
He's the CEO.
Who's the CEO of the Azim Premji Foundation. So that's also a very interesting review for educators. And of course our last page postscript, where you've done some very interesting postscripts on...
we think they're very interesting.
Yes.
One is about, I'm still complaining about
the nationalization of the banks.
The nationalization of the bank and why they're not privatized. And second one is on finally the Adani Group, which was under attack from the Hindenburg research, and a lot of people, their shares have plunged, as hitting back through advertising and on television and on in the newspaper. And the third one is on where we had foretold that the new education, the downside of the new education policy 2020 is a large number of committees that are being set up that were recommended by the Kasturirangan committee. Now they've been set up, but who are the people who are manning those? They are not substandard, in many cases substandard people. So there's a great potential of misuse and a spammer in the works for the new education policy.
Yes, indeed. So that's our December issue. We highly recommend you read it. Yes.
Let me add a very large number of pages.
Yes.
Fully covers early childhood education. And then...
Before we go, what's in store for parents? In our ParentsWorld magazine, your very important cover story, digital addiction of parents. So we say parents practice what you preach.
Yeah, well,
our story says
a lot of articles you read about child
addiction to digital devices and their increasing screen time. But here we say that parents are spending equal, if not more, amount of time staring into their screens and setting a bad example for children. So we're telling you, practice what you preach.
Papa, don't preach.
Yes, and reduce your own screen time. It's going to have beneficial impact on the entire family, and especially your children.
Well, that's it. So, Merry Christmas
and a Happy New Year.